The alarms screamed through the ship like angry birds. Red lights flashed everywhere. The whole vessel shook so hard that coffee cups flew off tables and people grabbed walls to stay standing. Park held tight to her captain's chair and watched the chaos on her screen. Numbers went crazy. Stars stretched into long lines of light. Then everything stopped. Silence came first. Then the lights turned normal again. The shaking ended. "What happened?" asked. Her voice was calm, like she was asking about the weather. Crawled out from under his engineering station. He had black grease on his face, and his hair stood up in strange directions. "The jump drive did something weird. We went somewhere, but I have no idea where." Was already working at her navigation screens. Her fingers moved fast across the controls. She stopped. She blinked. She looked again. "Captain, we are very far from home." "How far?" "About 40,000 light-years off course." Nobody said anything for a moment. O whistled low from his security station, looked up from her biology samples with wide eyes, stopped checking his medical supplies. Nodded slowly. "Okay, can we jump back?" Made a face. "The drive is making a sound like a dying cat. It needs repairs first." "Then we repair it, figure out where we are. Everyone else check for damage and—" A new alarm cut her off. This one was different. It meant something was outside. "Captain," said, his voice tight, "you need to see this." The main screen changed to show the view outside their ship. Felt her eyebrows go up. Ships surrounded them. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. They were huge, each one bigger than 10 football fields put together. They had sharp edges and glowing weapons. They looked like metal monsters floating in space. "Well," said, "that's a lot of ships." The communication system crackled. A voice came through, speaking a language nobody understood. It sounded angry, very angry. "Can you figure out what they're saying?" asked. The biologist was already working. "Give me a minute. The computer is trying to translate." The angry voice kept talking. It got louder and more threatening. The alien ships moved closer. Their weapons started to glow brighter. Finally got the translation working. "Okay, I think I have it," he says. "We have entered the territory of the hegemony. We must surrender immediately or be destroyed. We are insects before the might of their empire. Resistance means death. Something about crushing us like. I think the word is small bugs." Leaned back in his chair. "Friendly neighbors." "Surrender to whom?" asked. "We don't even know where we are. We just got lost." A new thing happened. Light gathered in the middle of their bridge. It formed into a shape. The shape became an alien. He was tall, maybe 3 meters high. His skin was dark blue and covered in small scales. He had 4 arms and eyes that glowed yellow. He wore armor that looked expensive and carried himself like someone very important. When he spoke, his voice boomed through the room. "I am High Commander of the Hegemony," the translation came through their speakers. "You have violated our space. Your primitive vessel will be captured. Your species will be catalogued. Your world will be found and conquered. This is the way of the hegemony. Bow before me and perhaps you will be allowed to serve." He waited. He clearly expected them to fall on their knees and beg. Stood up from her chair. She straightened her uniform. She looked at the giant alien commander and smiled politely. "Hello," she said. "I am Captain Park of the research vessel Star. We are from a planet called Earth. We did not mean to come here. Our engine broke and sent us to the wrong place. We apologize for any trouble." Stared at her. His yellow eyes blinked slowly. "You apologize?" "Yes, we will leave as soon as we fix our ship, but our jump drive is damaged. Do you have a repair station nearby? Also, if you have fuel, we would be happy to trade for it." The alien commander looked confused. This was not how first contact usually went. Species meeting the hegemony always screamed or cried or begged or tried to fight. They did not ask about repairs and fuel. "Do you not understand?" said. You are prisoners. Your lives belong to the hegemony now. Tilted her head. I understand, but we are just scientists and explorers. We have no weapons that could hurt your ships. Fighting would be stupid, and being scared would not help anything. So I thought we could just talk like reasonable people. Behind her raised his hand. Excuse me, Commander. Your ships look very advanced. What kind of power source do you use? I am curious about the energy output. Turned to him completely lost. What? Spoke up too. Also, do you have star maps? Our charts do not show this area. It would help us plan our route home. I would love to study your biology, added, looking at with scientific interest. Your scale pattern is beautiful. Do you shed seasonally? The High Commander of the Hegemony, conqueror of 200 worlds, stood in the middle of this tiny ship and felt something he had never felt before. He felt out of control of the situation. These creatures were not afraid. They were not angry. They were not even worried. They were just asking questions, like tourists who got lost and needed directions. You will be taken to our command station, finally said. There you will be processed. Nodded, that sounds fine. Will there be food? We have not had lunch yet. The hologram flickered and disappeared, had left without answering. Laughed quietly, I think we broke him. Be nice, said, but she was smiling. We are guests in their space, we should be polite. She looked at her crew. Everyone stay calm, we will figure this out, we always do. Went back to his broken engine, kept working on star charts, made notes about alien biology, organized his medical kit, watched the screens showing the massive fleet around them. The star, small and alone among giants, drifted toward the unknown. And inside, 12 humans prepared for whatever came next with the same attitude they used for everything else. They would handle it. They had survived worse than scary aliens. They had survived finals week at university. The command station was called Throne of Stars. It was the largest thing any human had ever seen. It floated in space like a metal moon, covered in lights and towers and docking bays. Ships flew around it like bees around a hive. The star looked like a toy next to it. Soldiers escorted the humans through long hallways. The soldiers were tall and strong, carrying weapons that hummed with energy. They expected the prisoners to shake with fear. Instead, the humans looked around with curious eyes. The architecture is amazing, O said, looking at the high ceilings and carved walls. How old is this station? The soldier next to him said nothing. He did not know how to respond to compliments from a prisoner. Was walking slowly, trying to look at every alien they passed. There were so many different species. Some had fur, some had shells, some floated instead of walked. She wanted to study all of them. Excuse me, she said to a small creature with 6 legs and big eyes. What planet are you from? Do you breathe oxygen or something else? The creature made a scared sound and hurried away, looked disappointed. They were taken to a large room with white walls and bright lights. It looked like a place for asking questions. In the center was a metal chair with straps on it. A new entered. He was not as tall as, but his eyes were cold and his face showed no kindness. He introduced himself as Chief Interrogator. You will tell me everything about your species, he said. Your home world, your military strength, your weaknesses. You will tell me or you will suffer. Park stepped forward. We are happy to share information. We are scientists. Sharing knowledge is what we do. You do not need to threaten us. Paused. You want to share? Of course, what would you like to know? This was not normal. Interrogators were trained to break resistance. They were not trained for cooperation. Felt uncertain, but he continued. Show them the display, he ordered. The walls changed into screens. Images appeared, planets burning, cities destroyed, species kneeling before conquerors. It was meant to terrify them. Leaned closer to watch. What kind of weapons cause that level of destruction? Is it plasma-based or something else? The energy patterns are interesting. Stared at him. You are watching worlds die and you ask about weapons technology. Shrugged, I'm an engineer. I notice these things. The interrogator tried again. He showed images of prison camps, alien slaves working until they collapsed, torture chambers and execution grounds. The medic watched with a sad face. Those working conditions are very bad for health. Do you not have labor laws? The mortality rate must be terrible. We are conquerors, said, his voice rising. We do not care about mortality rates. That seems inefficient, said. Healthy workers produce more. Dead workers produce nothing. From a management view, this system is wasteful. Scales changed color. The other soldiers shifted nervously. The interrogator was getting angry, but the humans did not seem to notice. Raised her hand. Can I ask a question? If we are to be prisoners, where will we stay? I hope the rooms have windows. Small spaces make me uncomfortable. I promise I will not try to escape through the window. We are in space. That would be very stupid. The interrogation went on for hours. Nothing worked. When threatened death, calmly explained that all humans die eventually, so threats of death were not very scary. When he threatened pain, mentioned that humans had invented over 200 ways to hurt each other throughout history, so they were familiar with the concept. When he threatened to destroy Earth, started explaining how many extinction events Earth had already survived. Your planet sounds horrible, finally said. It has its problems, agreed, but we like it. The interrogator gave up and left. The humans were moved to holding cells to wait for further processing. The cells were small but clean. The humans settled in and made themselves comfortable. Immediately started examining the lock on the door, not to escape, but because he was curious how it worked. Sat in a corner and did math problems in her head to pass time. An hour later, a new alien entered. This one was different from the. He was shorter, with gray skin and a body that looked like he was in constant pain. He walked with a limp and his face was twisted in discomfort. I am Torturer Al, he announced. You will now experience true suffering. Stood up immediately. Are you okay? Your posture is very bad. Does your back hurt? Al blinked. What? Your back, the way you stand, you must have chronic pain. Lower spine, I think. Maybe the middle too. How long have you had this problem? The torturer looked confused. Many years, but this is not. Sit down, said firmly. Let me look at you. Something strange happened then. Maybe it was because spoke with such confidence. Maybe it was because Al had lived with pain for so long that any offer of help was welcome. Whatever the reason, the torturer sat down. Examined him carefully. He asked questions about diet, sleep, and daily activities. He pressed gently on different parts of the alien's back, watching for reactions. Your muscles are very tight, said. You probably sit in uncomfortable positions for long periods. Torturing people must require standing for hours, yes. And this chair you use, it does not support your spine correctly. How do you know about my chair? Al asked. I guessed. Now let me show you some stretches. For the next 2 hours, taught a professional torturer how to do physical therapy exercises. He explained proper posture. He suggested changes to the torture room's furniture to reduce back strain. He recommended hot compresses before sleep. Al left without torturing anyone. He had not even asked a single question about Earth. He walked a little and looked less miserable than before. The other humans watched this happen with small smiles. Said, I think you just made friends with the torturer. He was in pain, said simply. I help people in pain, that is my job. That night the humans slept peacefully in their cells. They had no idea that their behavior was causing panic throughout the station. Reports were being written. Commanders were having meetings. Scientists were studying their recorded conversations, trying to understand. These humans were not brave in the normal way. They did not fight or resist, but they also showed no fear. They acted like guests at a strange hotel, not prisoners of a galactic empire. In his private quarters, High Commander read the reports and felt worried. He had conquered species that fought back with everything they had. He had broken the spirits of warriors and kings, but he had never met anyone who simply did not care about his threats. What kind of creature had they found? What kind of world produced beings like this? He looked at the stars outside his window and wondered if conquering Earth would be more trouble than it was worth. Word spread fast through the station. Strange aliens had arrived. They could not be scared. They could not be threatened. They helped torturers with back pain and asked engineers about their engines. The humans were no longer kept in cells. They were moved to guest quarters instead. Nobody called them prisoners anymore, though nobody called them free either. They existed in a strange middle space, and they seemed perfectly fine with it. Park was called before the Hegemony Council. This was the group of 12 ancient species who ruled the empire together. They sat in a massive circular room on floating chairs, looking down at her like judges at a trial. The speaker of the council was a very old creature covered in white feathers. Her voice was soft but carried power. "Human, you stand before the rulers of 2,000 worlds. We have questions." Bowed politely, "I will answer what I can." "Your species shows no fear. We have studied many races. All of them fear death. All of them fear pain. All of them fear the unknown. You do not. Explain." Thought about this carefully. We do fear these things. Every human knows fear, but we have lived with fear for so long that we learned to work around it. Our planet is dangerous. Everything wants to eat us or kill us or poison us. We survived anyway. After millions of years of this, we got used to being afraid while still doing what we needed to do. "Your planet sounds like a death world," another council member said. He was covered in thick armor plates and spoke in a rumbling voice. "Some people call it that," agreed. "We call it home." The council asked many questions about Earth's history, about human wars and diseases and disasters, answered honestly. She told them about ice ages that covered the planet in frozen death. She told them about plagues that killed half the population. She told them about wars fought with weapons that could destroy cities in seconds. "And through all of this," the speaker said slowly, "your species survived and grew stronger." "We are stubborn," said with a small smile. "We do not give up easily." Meanwhile, O had found the security barracks. The station's guards were professional soldiers who trained constantly. They saw him watching their practice sessions and eventually invited him to join. Could not match their strength or speed. Human bodies were smaller and weaker than bodies, but he knew tricks they had never seen. He knew how to use an enemy's weight against them. He knew how to strike weak points. He knew how to cheat. "This is not honorable combat," one soldier complained after threw him to the ground using a simple judo move. "Humans do not fight for honor," explained. "We fight to survive. If survival means being tricky, we are tricky. If it means running away, we run. Honor is nice, but staying alive is better." After training, he taught them card games. The soldiers had never seen playing cards before. They were confused by the rules at first, but soon became interested. Won most games, but he always shared the snacks he had brought from the ship. The soldiers decided they liked this human. Caused trouble in the science department. She wandered into the xenobiology lab and started asking questions that made the scientists uncomfortable. "You have predator species and prey species working together," one scientist asked, horrified. "On the same planet, how do they not eat each other?" "We have laws against eating people," said. "But your instincts?" "Humans have complicated instincts. We have instincts to hunt and instincts to protect. We have instincts to fight and instincts to love. We choose which ones to follow, mostly." She told them about dogs, how humans had taken wolves, dangerous hunters, and over thousands of years turned them into loyal companions who lived in homes and slept on beds. You domesticated apex predators, the scientist whispered, and now they love you. They are good boys, said happily. Then she told them about spicy food, how humans ate a chemical called capsaicin that caused pain sensors to activate, and humans did this on purpose because they enjoyed it. You eat pain for pleasure, the scientist said, backing away slowly. It makes food taste better, said. Would you like to try some? I have hot sauce packets in my bag. The scientist ran away. Had found the engineering section. The engineers were proud of their technology, developed over thousands of years. They expected the primitive human to be amazed. Instead, walked around pointing out problems. This power conduit is inefficient, he said. You are losing energy at every junction. Have you considered using a different configuration? That configuration has worked for 300 years, the chief engineer said defensively. 300 years of wasting energy, agreed. Also, this coolant system makes a strange noise, probably a loose fitting somewhere. Do you have a basic tool kit? They gave him tools mostly to make him stop talking. 4 hours later, a problem that had annoyed engineers for decades was fixed. Had used something from his pocket called duct tape and some creative rewiring. What is this duct tape? The chief engineer asked, examining the repair. It holds the universe together, said seriously. Humans cannot survive without it. The engineer wrote this down as an important fact about human culture. Back in the council chamber, the speaker asked the most important question. Human captain, if we decided to conquer your world, what would happen? Did not answer immediately. She looked at each council member in turn, showing no fear. You would probably win, she said finally. Your technology is better. Your numbers are greater. You could bomb our cities and destroy our militaries, but you would not have peace. Explain. Humans do not surrender easily. Even if you won the war, you would not win the peace. We would fight in small groups. We would sabotage your machines. We would resist in ways you cannot predict. And there are 8 billion of us. 8 billion stubborn, creative, angry humans who really do not like being told what to do. She paused and smiled gently. It would be annoying for everyone involved. Years of trouble, generations of resistance. Is one small planet worth that much effort? The council was silent. Or, continued, we could trade instead. We could share knowledge. We could be friends. Humans are good friends. We are loyal and helpful, and we bring interesting food. This seems like a better option, do you not think? The speaker looked at her fellow council members. Something passed between them. Something had changed. We will discuss this, the speaker finally said. You may go. Bowed again and left. As she walked back to her quarters, she felt cautiously hopeful. They had not made friends yet, but they had not made enemies either. For humans lost in a strange galaxy, that was a good start. The attack came without warning. Park was eating breakfast in the station's food hall when the explosion started. The whole room shook. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed from every direction. Aliens ran in panic, knocking over tables and trampling each other. Stayed calm. She finished chewing her food, then looked around for her crew. Was already moving toward her, his engineer's instincts alert. O pushed through the crowd, his security training taking over. One by one, the humans found each other in the chaos. What is happening? Asked, her face pale but her voice steady. A soldier stumbled past them, wounded and scared. He gasped. They are attacking. Their fleet came from nowhere. We are being boarded. There were rebels who had fought the hegemony for centuries. They hated everything the empire stood for. And today, they had chosen to strike at the heart of power. Through the windows, could see enemy ships firing on the station. Explosions bloomed in the darkness of space. Closer, she heard weapons fire in the hallways. The boarding parties were already inside. We need to move, said. This area is not safe. Where do we go? Asked. Made a decision quickly. Engineering. If we can help keep the station working, we help everyone. You know the way. Follow me, the engineer said. They ran through corridors filled with smoke and fear. Soldiers rushed past them, trying to reach their posts, but everything was confused. The command structure was too slow. Orders had to go through proper channels, from officers to commanders to high commanders, and there was no time for that. The humans did not have this problem. The others followed. No meetings, no discussions, no waiting for permission. They reached engineering to find it in chaos. A bomb had damaged the main power systems. Engineers ran around trying to fix multiple problems at once, but they were overwhelmed. Took one look and started giving orders. You three, work on that conduit. You two, check the backup generators. Someone get me a damage report now. The engineers stared at him. He was not their commander. He was not even, but he spoke with such confidence that they obeyed without thinking. I need 20 minutes to stabilize the power core, said. Keep the away from here. Done, said. She turned to. Can you coordinate with station security? Was already on a communication device, talking to the soldiers he had trained with. They are scattered and confused. Their commanders are giving conflicting orders. Then ignore the commanders. Work directly with the soldiers. Tell them what to do. This was not how military worked, but this was not a normal situation. Started organizing defense lines. He did not ask permission. He just did it. The soldiers, grateful for clear instructions, followed his lead. Meanwhile, had found a map of the station on a screen. Her navigator's mind was working fast. The boarding parties entered here, here, and here, she said, pointing. They are moving toward the command center and the reactor. If they reach either, we lose. Can we stop them? Asked. Maybe, if we block these corridors and create here, traced lines on the map. We cannot beat them in direct combat. We need to slow them down and trap them. Nodded and sent the information to, who passed it to the soldiers. In another part of the station, had found wounded aliens. A medical bay had been hit and survivors were scattered in a hallway. He did not hesitate. He started treating injuries, moving from patient to patient with quick efficiency. Some of them were who had threatened him days ago. It did not matter. They were hurt. He was a medic. The job was simple. Other medical staff saw him working and joined in. A system formed naturally. At the center, directing others, teaching them human techniques that saved precious seconds. You are helping your captors, a wounded said, confused. You are not my captors right now, replied, wrapping a bandage tightly. Right now you are my patients. There is a difference. The battle continued. Warriors were fierce and well armed. They had planned this attack for years, but something was going wrong. The station was not falling as quickly as expected. In engineering, performed miracles with duct tape and creative thinking. He rerouted power through systems that had forgotten existed. He jury-rigged repairs that should have been impossible. The lights stayed on. The shields held. In the corridors, improvised defense lines slowed the enemy advance. The soldiers fought better with clear commands and simple goals. The complicated chain of command was ignored in favor of direct action. Was helping too in her own way. She had learned some of the language during her studies, not much but enough. Can you broadcast false orders? Asked her. His eyes widened. That is very sneaky. Humans invented sneaky, said. Can you do it? They found a communication station. With help from translation computers, sent messages to the fleet. She claimed to be a rebel commander. She gave wrong coordinates. She reported fake victories and false retreats. The ships fell into confusion. Some moved to positions that made no sense. Others stopped attacking, waiting for orders that would never come. How did you know that would work? Asked, amazed. Humans have been lying to each other since we learned to talk, said. We are very good at it. I am not proud of this, but right now it is useful. The battle turned. With their fleet in chaos and their ground forces slowed, the lost momentum. Reinforcements arrived from other parts of the station. The enemy was pushed back, then defeated, then driven away. When it was over, the humans gathered in engineering. They were tired and dirty, and some had small injuries, but they were all alive. Sat on the floor next to his repaired power core. That was exciting, he said weakly. Let us never do it again, agreed. High Commander found them there. He looked at these small aliens who had helped save his station. His face showed something new, not anger, not confusion, something like respect. 47 lives, he said quietly. Your medic saved 47 of my people. Your engineer kept our power running. Your security advice prevented the command center from falling. Your lies destroyed the enemy's coordination. Stood up slowly. We just did what we could. You did more than many of my own officers. Paused. When we first met, I thought your species was strange and weak. I was wrong. You are strange, yes, but not weak, never weak. He turned and walked away without another word. The humans looked at each other. Something had changed. They could feel it. They were no longer curiosities or prisoners or guests. They were something else now, something the hegemony had not seen in a very long time. They were equals. The station was quiet now. Workers repaired damage. Wounded soldiers rested in medical bays. The dead were honored with ceremonies that the humans watched respectfully, even though they did not understand the rituals. 3 days had passed since the battle. 3 days of cleaning up and counting losses and trying to understand what had happened. Park stood at a window looking at the stars. So many stars, so far from home. Behind her she heard footsteps approaching. Captain Park, said the voice of High Commander. She turned to face him. High Commander. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone from his posture. He seemed tired, older somehow. War did that to people new, even alien people. May I speak with you privately? He asked. They walked together through empty corridors until they reached an observation room. Great windows showed the vastness of space. Distant galaxies sparkled like dust in sunlight. I have commanded the hegemony fleet for 200 years, said slowly. I have conquered 60 worlds. I have defeated armies and broken empires. I believed I understood power. Said nothing, she waited. The hegemony rules through fear, he continued. We show our strength. We demonstrate what happens to those who resist. Species obey because they are afraid of what we will do if they refuse. He paused. It works. It has always worked. But it creates enemies. They are only the latest. There have been others. There will be more. Fear makes people obey, said quietly. It does not make them loyal. Yes, turned to look at her. Your people showed no fear. I thought you were strange, broken somehow, unable to feel what normal creatures feel, but I was wrong. We feel fear, said. We just learned to carry it with us instead of letting it stop us. How? Thought about this question carefully. It was important. Maybe the most important question anyone had asked her. On Earth, she said, we have a saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. We do not pretend we are not afraid. We do not hide from things that scare us. We accept that fear exists and then we move forward. Because on our world, if you stop moving, you die. Was silent for a long moment. We have ruled for 10,000 years, he finally said. And in all that time, we never found a species like yours. Never found anyone who could stand in front of our armies and ask about repair bays and fuel. A strange sound came from him. It took a moment to realize it was laughter. You confused us, terrified us in our own way, because we did not know how to deal with beings who simply refused to be controlled by fear. We are not special, said. We are just stubborn. That stubbornness is your greatest strength, straightened. The Council has made a decision. We will not conquer Earth. Felt relief wash through her, but she kept her face calm. I am glad to hear that. More than that, we wish to offer humanity a place in the hegemony, not as subjects, as equals, trading partners, allies. This was unexpected. His mind raced. That is a generous offer. It is a practical offer, corrected. You have shown us that fear is not the only way to build an empire. Perhaps there are other ways, better ways. We would like to learn from you. Looked out at the stars again. Earth was somewhere out there, 40,000 light-years away. Her home, her people. They had no idea that aliens existed, that empires spanned the galaxy, that everything was about to change. I cannot accept for all of humanity, she said carefully. I am just one captain of one small ship. This decision belongs to everyone on Earth. Nodded, I understand. Go home. Tell your people what you have found. Give them time to think. And then come back. We will be waiting. The next morning, the Star was ready to leave. Engineers had repaired the jump drive completely. More than that, they had upgraded it with better technology. They had also filled the cargo hold with gifts, star maps, scientific data, samples of technology. This is too much, said, looking at all the new equipment. Consider it payment, the chief engineer said, for teaching us about duct tape. The crew gathered on the bridge for the last time at this station, sat in her captain's chair and looked at her people. At engineering, already playing with new systems. At navigation, course plotted and ready. At security, sad to leave his new soldier friends. At science, carrying data files that would change biology forever. At medical, with new medicines and techniques to share. 12 humans who had accidentally stumbled into a galactic empire and stumbled out again as ambassadors. Everyone ready? Asked. Ready, they answered together. She could see watching from the station's command center. She raised her hand in a wave. After a moment, he raised his hand back. Take us home. The jump drive hummed. Stars stretched into lines of light. Space folded around them, and then they were gone. On the station, a young officer approached. High Commander, what made those humans so different? Watched the empty space where the Star had been. He thought about Captain Park, standing before the council without fear. He thought about the engineer fixing ancient problems with tape and creativity. He thought about the medic helping wounded enemies without hesitation. They were not stronger than us, he said slowly. Their technology was primitive. Their bodies were fragile. They had no special powers. Then what? They were unbothered, turned away from the window. They faced the might of our empire and simply did not care. They treated us like neighbors to be reasoned with, not masters to be feared. And somehow, that was more terrifying than any weapon I have ever seen. The young officer did not understand. But someday, when humans returned to the galaxy in greater numbers, he would. Everyone would. In the darkness of hyperspace, the Star flew toward Earth. Inside, the crew talked excitedly about what they had seen and learned. They made plans for how to explain everything to the people back home. Listened to her crew with a smile. They had done something incredible, not through strength or weapons or advanced technology, through stubbornness and kindness and the simple human ability to stay calm when everything said they should panic. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in the back of her mind was already planning the return trip. There were trade agreements to discuss, cultural exchanges to arrange, maybe even friendships to build between species who had never known each other existed. It would be a lot of work. There would be problems and challenges and probably more scary situations. But humans had faced worse. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars that nearly ended everything. They had walked on their moon and split the atom and built machines that could think. A galaxy full of aliens. That was just another adventure waiting to happen. Leaned back in her chair and smiled. Earth was going to love this,